So sorry. Hopefully it'll be worth your while.
Just start talking. We're all here.
Okay, all right. Yep, you're right. I should just start talking. Okay, so I'm Rosanne DeTorres. I'm the managing partner of DeTorres and DeGeorge Family Law. And forget about the screen presentation because I just can't figure it out. My specialty is divorce, just like the name says. And the things that I wanted to share with you today were a little bit about me and who we are and how we deal with divorce, what makes us different, what makes us unique. And I want to give you 5 tips, if I can, about how, since you guys are all business owners or entrepreneurs, how to protect your business in a divorce if it ever came up in your life or in a colleague's life that may have a business. So divorce can be very complicated. And the reason that it is complicated is because it covers many different areas of the law, which makes it very interesting for us divorce lawyers, but it can also make it troublesome for the people that are experiencing divorce. Family law is a wide umbrella, covers things like dissolving marriages. It covers things like dissolving relationships that aren't marriages, people that have children together but are never married, people that are owning property together but never get married. It includes things like prenups. So if you've acquired some wealth in your life and you're maybe later in life and you want to preserve that wealth for your kids and not give it to the new spouse, you definitely want to consider a prenup. It includes domestic violence, which is on the rise during COVID. It's been significantly increasing cases of domestic violence between partners and spouses. It includes things like alimony, child support, how to pay for college, how to distribute assets, like businesses. Even businesses that you start before marriage can be at risk in a divorce. How to distribute retirement assets, qualified money, so that you don't pay taxes and penalties on those distributions. How to distribute things like executive compensation, deferred compensation, like stock options or restricted stock. So divorce can be very broad in terms of the types of things that it encompasses. And what makes it even more troublesome, I think, for a consumer, somebody that's looking for a family lawyer, is that there's 41,000, actually there's more than 41,000 lawyers in the state of New Jersey. And so who do you choose? How do you know who's a good divorce attorney? And so I think the best advice I can give about that is that you want to make sure that you pick an expert. And how do you know who's an expert? So in New Jersey, there's 150 only out of the 41,000 lawyers that have a specialty certification in family law. And that means they had to go through a vetting process to get that specialty designation. They had to take a test. They had to be vetted by judges that they appear before, and also by lawyers that they had cases against, had to recommend them. And I happen to be one of those 150. So if you need a family lawyer, make sure that you pick a certified matrimonial attorney. And the way you know that is there's a seal. It looks like the seal of the state of New Jersey, and it says matrimonial certification around the edge. And then you've got an expert, and you can be assured that you're getting the best representation. So what makes us unique, I think, as a divorce boutique, because family law is all we do. We don't do anything else. We settle 99% of the cases that we take without going to court, which I think is a very good track record. And we are able to do it in about half the time of the statewide average. The statewide average is about 2 years, and we do it in about a year. So how have we been able to do that? Well, what we do is we use all kinds of alternative forms of dispute resolution. Things like arbitration, mediation, conciliation, direct negotiation, collaborative law. These are all tools in our toolbox that we can bring to bear on your situation so that we're not expending your marital assets to get you divorced. Because guess where the money comes from to pay your lawyers? It comes out of the marital pot. And judges these days, and the court, the actual statutes in New Jersey allow judges to liquidate marital assets without your consent to pay for the lawyers. And so if you want to avoid that, you want to be involved in some other way of resolving your dispute than going to court. Now, having said all that, that doesn't mean that I won't go to court. In fact, I'm trying a case right now. I have another trial in May, contested adoption I'm doing. I like to say I have an iron fist in a velvet glove. So if I can use my velvet glove, I'm much happier doing that. Because I think it's better when people can resolve their disputes without a judge deciding for them. But if I have to take out my iron fist, I will. When does that come up? When might I need to take out my iron fist? If somebody's dissipating assets, somebody's not maintaining the economic status quo, there's some kind of hanky-panky going on with money, moving money around improperly. All of a sudden, your spouse is booking a trip to Tahiti when that never was the marital lifestyle. If there's domestic violence involved, all those things may require a more heavy-handed approach to your situation. So enough about me and how we do our business. I want to give you 5 tips this morning how to protect your business in a divorce. But the first thing you have to know is the business marital property? Because the only thing that we can deal with in a divorce is marital property. So we always have to start there. That's the first inquiry. What is marital property? That's anything that you accumulate from the day you get married until the day somebody files for divorce. If you started your business before that, it's not initially considered marital property. So you're mostly safe, but you're not always safe. And it doesn't matter whose name the asset is in. So if you acquire a business or start a business during your marriage and it's always in your name, doesn't matter, it's still marital property. So the thing that I want to focus on is the businesses that you start before marriage that you think are what we call exempt from distribution. But somehow your spouse is making a claim to that business, even though you started it before you met them or married them. And the way that you're going to protect that business is to make sure you fire your spouse. Don't hire them. If they work in your business that you started before marriage, they're going to have a greater equitable claim to some value that we're going to assign to that business. And all businesses can be valued. The only businesses that we really don't focus on that don't have a lot of value are solopreneurs, people that are the business, like you're a one-man show. There's no business without you. And that's from where you draw your income. We can't consider that a business like an asset, as well as a source of income. That would be double dipping. But anybody that has employees or contracts that are ongoing, those are businesses that are at risk. So the first thing you want to do is don't let your spouse work in your business. If it's, I see Eileen looking at it. Okay, so that's your first strategy. Strategy number 2, sign a prenup. Now, if you're already married, it's not really too late to sign what we call a mid-marriage agreement. Of course, we don't call it prenup because it's not before the marriage, but there are things that are called what we call mid-marriage agreements. They're not easy to enforce. They're more troublesome because you don't want to go to your spouse and say, hey, I'm going to divorce you unless you sign this prenup, this agreement that I should have had you sign before marriage. It's considered a coercion. And so you really have to be careful. I have done mid-marriage agreements. They're tricky. But if you're thinking about getting married, and you have a business, definitely sign a prenup. It's the fastest, cheapest, it's money well spent. Most lawyers can do it for a couple $1,000s. If you have to pay more for a prenup than $2,000, you go somewhere else. They're simple to do. So that's your strategy number 2, sign a prenup. Strategy number 3. To protect your business, if you use the business as your personal piggy bank, first of all, it's considered tax fraud. If a judge finds out about that, meaning you're in the 1% that goes to court to resolve your divorce, they have to report you to the IRS. So don't do that. And that would be really bad. So make sure that you report all your income, but also keep strategy number 4, keep the family finances separate. Don't pay for vacations, cars, cell phones, every little thing out of the business, every meal you eat out. Why? Because if you commingle all your personal and business expenses, it's more likely than that a court would construe your business as simply a sham. And that, of course, it's a marital asset because you used all those business resources to fund the marital lifestyle. So that's your strategy number 4. The other reason that you want to keep your family finances separate is I can't tell you how many cases I see where on your tax return, it says you make $40,000 a year from your business. But when I look at your budget, because the budgets always come into play, what do you spend every month? You spend $150,000 a year. Well, how do you spend $150,000 a year if you only report $40,000 a year of income? I know there's something going on there, and that's also considered inappropriate. And that means that there's going to be a dispute about what your true income is. What are you really drawing by way of cash flow from the business? So if you want to avoid that inquiry, make sure you report all the income that you receive from the business, even cash, and make sure you keep the family finances separate. Back in the day, when I was a baby lawyer, somebody would pay me in cash. I would think I hit the lottery. It's not worth it. I don't do that anymore. I haven't done that in years and years because it's not worth the 20 or 30 or even 40% in taxes I pay on that money to risk my professional reputation or my law license. Because that's what you're saving by spending cash. You're saving the tax. And then the last strategy I can recommend to you today is if you are already married and have a business, consider having your business buy some whole life insurance to fund a buyout of your spouse if you're in the 1 out of 2 marriages that fail. Why do I say that? So if your marriage doesn't survive and you've already got this business and you're not sure whether it's going to be in play in the divorce or not, one way that you can protect yourself is to go to one of your colleagues that are here that sell life insurance, buy a policy that accrues cash value as a resource for you to use to buy out your spouse if it ever came to that. So remember, if you want to be free from your unhappy marriage, please don't go see one of those 41,000 lawyers that say they may do family law, you're just not sure. How do you know? Make sure you go see the one of the 150 that have that special seal on their website. It's called a matrimonial law certification. And again, that's because just divorce is just too technical. If you have anything at all at stake in your marriage, especially at the business, you want to make sure you see an expert. And I'd be happy to help you if you thought that I could be of service to you. Please just check out my website. We have tons of free information that's readily downloadable. You can do that all for free. I wrote a book about divorce, a primer on how to prepare for divorce. That's also downloadable for free to anyone who wants it. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Roseanne. My wife wasn't too happy when I brought home your book. I left it on the island one day, and and I didn't know where you were going when you said to get life insurance. And I'm like, wait a minute, you want me to kill off my spouse?
No.
Live on Facebook, just saying.
Well, when Roseanne said, don't hire your spouse, that was just really funny.
Too late, right?
Too late, too late.
No business here, Roseanne.
We don't do business.
We're in love.
Where's the question?
Famous last words.
Roseanne, if you buy life insurance, how do you use that in this situation? Don't you have to die to collect it?
No. A whole life policy accrues cash value while you're alive.
The cash value, okay.
Yeah, it's got to be a whole life policy that accrues cash value while you pay premiums. So it has kind of 2 purposes. So if you die and you're still married, then you can, your spouse or whoever your beneficiary is gets the death benefit. But you can then invade the cash value while you're alive for really whatever purpose you want. And it's tax-free money because you've already paid taxes on it when you paid.
Right, you can't pay taxes twice.
Right. So you paid taxes on it when you took the money out of wherever you took it from to pay the premiums. So it's tax-free money. You can use that to buy out a spouse, kind of walking away money.
Golden handcuffs. We call them golden handcuffs.
There you go. Golden handcuffs.
The